welcome a friend of Chip's, not a co-worker, but a friend. Please welcome Jimmy Cull.
Man, looking around this room and seeing all you guys here, what a testimony to the legacy of Chip Sneed. Unbelievable. He's the only guy I know that died and he was on the news.
What?
Chip was a hell of a guy. Exactly, hold on. Exactly 1 year ago today, this weekend, I spoke on behalf of Chip Sneed when he was inducted into the Catholic High Hall of Fame. And it's exactly this weekend today I'm speaking at his memorial. And that kind of just blows my mind. It's hard to get on. A lot's happened in a year. So I guess we really need to appreciate where we are and what we have and know time is precious and things can change in a heartbeat. But what do you say about Chip Sneed? Well, in my case, I got plenty to say, I just don't have the time. As many of you know, Chip grew up in St. Peter's, and I met Chip in the early 60s in grade school. When I think about Chip, I think about that mustache, that big mustache. But I knew him before that he had that mustache. And he just really never looked right. Something was missing. He needed something. He grew that mustache, and that was it. Once he grew that mustache, chicks dug him. When I think of Chip, I can hear that laugh. That loud, beautiful, contagious laugh. He loved to laugh. When you were with Chip, you would join in and laugh with him, whether you knew what he was laughing about or not. I'm gonna miss that laugh. When I think of Chip, only do I think about a friend, but he was a great teammate. He was a competitive football player. Chip could not catch a pass to save his life. You could throw him a pass that hit him in the shoulders, it hit him in the head, it hit him in the stomach, it hit him in the hands. We'd call them hands of stone. But what he did have, though, was a deadly forearm. Back in our day, you could throw a forearm and it was legal. And Chip did it better than anyone. You did not want to be on the receiving end of a Chip Sneed forearm. You could walk away with a broken jaw. When I think of Chip, I see someone who loved to drive fast. Whether it was his first car, which was a 1960 somewhat car, what year was it, you know? No, his Mustang. The way it was red, 289 3-speed Mustang, he loved to drive it fast. Whether it was his Mustang, his fishing boat, or his motorcycle, Chip always had a need for speed. That need for speed was most realized when he inherited from his father, who was also a fireman, a 1969 Canary Yellow 383 torque flight Roadrunner with an 8-track. Chip had to develop crazy good driving skills and loved to drag race. We would drag race in the streets all over the city whenever the opportunity presented itself. Imagine the thrill of being at a stoplight, Chip Sneed behind the wheel, revving the engine, getting the RPMs up, and waiting for the light to turn green. We were either next to a Charger, a Barracuda, a Challenger, a Super B, or a Super Sport. Chip would race them all, and we did race them all. But we were responsible. We did keep football helmets in the back seat. And we would put those on when we knew we were going to race somebody. We would go by and see a friend of ours, and their father was a doctor. And he kept telling Chip, you're going to end up in a body bag if you don't slow down. But Chip never slowed down. We would laugh about that. In fact, he always speeded up. The fact that I'm standing here talking about it proves that Chip had skills and was one damn good driver. and he was proud of that, and I'm thankful he was a damn good brother. When I think of Chip, I think about him always burning rubber in the school parking lot and having to stand detention. That was his badge of honor. When I think of Chip, I think of the day he came to school and he'd been beaten up over the weekend. He came to school, he had black eyes, busted lip, and his face was swollen. He was 16 or 17, and he was beaten up by a 25-year-old. Years later, we were playing touch football against the team, and that guy was on the opposing team. Chip was no longer a boy, but a man. We all wanted a piece of that guy. Chip said, "Hold on, man, I'm gonna handle this." That is when that guy met Chip's big, beautiful, deadly form up close and personal. The guy went down holding his jaw, left the game, and never came back. I hope Chip broke his jaw. Chip came back to the huddle smiling to a bunch of high fives. That guy never knew what hit him. And if you knew Chip, you knew if there was ever any fights or anything, you wanted Chip Sneed on your side. He was tough, he could throw a punch, he knew how to fight. Oh, he was awesome. When I think of Chip, I think of someone who loved to lift weights and work out. But I have not so fond memories of the time Chip took me to the police and fire gym and talked me into wrestling an old man. He goes, "Man, you see that guy over there? He thinks he's tough. Why don't you wrestle him? I think you can beat him." I said, "Man, I want to wrestle him." That's an old guy. He must have been 40. We were 20s, and he kept going. He said, "Man, come on, man, wrestle him. Wrestle him. He thinks he's tough. You can take him." I said, "All right, man, come on, I'll take him. All right, let's do it." So I got on the mat, and the guy had cauliflower ears. And I told my sons, I said, "Never wrestle or fight a guy with a cauliflower ear." I said, "He's got a cauliflower ear, run away." Well, the guy ended up being Billy Wicks. If y'all don't know who he was, he was a professional wrestler. He taught self-defense at the police and fire gym. So I got on the mat. The guy turned me every which way but loose. Turned me inside out, upside down. He turned me into a pretzel. I couldn't even tap out. I was so trying to tap out. And I've never heard Chip Sneed laugh so long and so hard as he saw me getting my butt whipped. And he loved it. When I think of Chip, I think of a young man who was occasionally lost, trying to figure things out. There were times when Chip didn't know where he was going to spend the night or sleep at night, or where he was going to get gas money. During one of those periods, Chip stayed with me and my family. And we were there a long time. We got a job together. We spent a lot of time together. But he told me that he had never realized what it was like to sit down with the family and have dinner until he sat down with my family and had dinner. You know, that always stuck with me. Chip always wanted to follow in his father's footsteps and be a firefighter. Chip had the attributes it took to be one of the best. Y'all saw it, but I knew it. I was at a fire once, a fire down the street from my house. I heard it. I went there before the even firefighters got there. The fire engine rolled up, and Chip was the first one off the truck. He was the first one to get in the building. I saw him on the roof fighting the fire. I said, "Man, he's crazy." But he wasn't crazy. He was what a firefighter is. He was brave and courageous and everything a good firefighter ought to be. Plus, he was a little crazy. Chip spent part of his career as a paramedic, and I always said if I was ever in a wreck and needed someone to come up and save my life, I was hoping it would be Chip Sneed. And I was at an event not long ago, and the lady came up to me and goes, "Are you Chip Sneed?" I don't know why she thinks that. And I said, no, not Chip. She said, "Well, I just wanted to say that I was in a wreck. Chip showed up, he pulled me out of the wreck, he gave me CPR, he saved my life, and I just wanted to thank him." But that's who Chip Sneed was. He was there for everybody. He wanted to save people's lives. When I think of Chip, I think about his beautiful, heartwarming relationships that he had with his granddaughters. You could easily see the mutual love that they had. It was really a beautiful thing to watch. When I think of Chip, I think of April, his sweet daughter, who left her life in Little Rock to come assist caring for her father. And April's a real sweetheart. She's unbelievable. When I think of Chip, I think of Jason and Paul Boyce and their wives Amanda and Natalie, who for the last 2 years of Chip's life, they spent making it possible for Donna to keep Chip at home. They were very instrumental in Chip's care at the end. When I think of Chip, I think of his son Will, who was there at the end when times were hard and he was very much needed. And now he's the owner of his father's cherished Roadrunner. So lucky you. But mostly when I think of Chip, I think of Donna. She's a remarkable woman. She made sure Chip could stay home. She took great care of Chip, which was not easy if you knew how things went. When I asked her how she was doing, she would tell me, she said, Jimmy, when I got my nurse's hat on, it's okay. When I had my wife hat on, it's unbearable. So Chip was blessed to have the people around him that loved him and made sure he was comfortable and where he wanted to be at the end. Chip was an awesome guy and a great friend. Chip came from, hold on a minute. Chip came from the humblest of beginnings and he achieved greatness. Chip Sneed is the epitome of a self-made man, and the world was a much better place for Chip Sneed. Chip was loved and he will be missed. But let's not cry because it's over. Let's smile because it happened. And how lucky were we to have Chip Sneed in our life. Rest in peace, my brother.